The cameras caught something in the Dodgers clubhouse that nobody was expecting. Shohei Ohtani, the man who carries the weight of an entire franchise on his shoulders, standing in the middle of the room, completely still. Not celebrating. Not laughing. Just watching. And then his expression changed. What happened in that clubhouse after the news of his treatment success wasn't just a celebration. It was a moment that revealed everything about who Shohei Ohtani really is, and what his teammates think of him. And then, just when the mood hit its peak, Dave Roberts walked in, slammed his hand on the desk, and said something that stunned every single person in that room. We need to talk about all of it. Let's set the scene first, because the details here matter more than people realize. The party wasn't planned. It wasn't organized by the PR team or the front office. This was something that came from the players themselves, from the guys who practice alongside Ohtani every single day, who watch him in the training room before anyone else arrives, and who know better than anyone what this treatment process has cost him. When the news broke that Ohtani's treatment had gone well, that the recovery was on track and that the fears many people had quietly been holding were no longer necessary, the reaction in the clubhouse wasn't quiet relief. It was pure, unfiltered joy. And the thing that stood out immediately? Ohtani's expression. Look at his face in that moment. Not the big smile. Not the fist pump. The moment right before all of that, when he realized what his teammates had set up for him. That split second where his eyes go wide and something flickers across his face that you don't often see from him. Vulnerability. Shohei Ohtani is one of the most composed athletes on the planet. He has faced 100 miles per hour fastballs without blinking. He has pitched in playoff pressure without showing a crack. But in that clubhouse, surrounded by his teammates, for just one brief moment, he looked genuinely caught off guard. And that tells you everything. He wasn't expecting to be celebrated. He was expecting to be the one who shows up and performs. That's his identity. That's his role. And his teammates flipped the script on him entirely. Now let's talk about the gift, because this detail is being underreported. His teammates didn't just throw a party. They organized a surprise all-star gift, something personal, something that acknowledged not just his performance on the field, but what he had been going through off it. Think about what that means for a second. In a professional baseball clubhouse, players are competitive. They are focused on their own numbers, their own contracts, their own legacies. That's just the reality of the sport. And yet, a group of professional athletes came together, not because they were told to, not because it was scheduled, but because they genuinely wanted to honor this man. That doesn't happen by accident. That happens because of the kind of person Ohtani is in that room every single day. We talk endlessly about what Ohtani does between the lines. The ERA. The batting average. The stolen bases. The home runs. But what his teammates showed in that clubhouse is that the numbers are almost secondary to them. What they see is someone who pushes himself harder than anyone, and who does it quietly, without demanding attention or credit. From a teammate's perspective, that kind of player is rare. You want to play for someone like that. You want to run through a wall for someone like that. And when that person goes through something difficult, you show up for them. That's what that all-star gift represented. It wasn't just a celebration of his stats. It was his teammates saying, "We see you." Not just the player. The person. Now go back to that expression. Because if you watch it carefully, and I mean really watch it, you'll notice something interesting. After that initial moment of surprise, Ohtani does something very specific. He looks around the room. Not at one person. At all of them. He's taking inventory. He's noting who is there. Who made the effort. Who stayed. And then he does something that very few athletes his caliber do in moments like this. He gets quiet. Not awkward quiet. Meaningful quiet. The kind of quiet that says, I don't have words for this right now, and I'm not going to fake them. That moment of genuine silence from Ohtani in the middle of a loud, chaotic celebration tells you more about his emotional intelligence than any interview ever could. He didn't rush to perform gratitude. He let himself actually feel it. And for someone who carries himself with the discipline and self-control that Ohtani does, that quiet was loud. And then Dave Roberts walked in. Now, the energy in the room was already high. Players were loud, music was playing, there was genuine electricity in that space. And Roberts, who is not typically the type to make dramatic entrances, came through that door with a different kind of energy entirely. He walked to the center of the room. He put his hand flat on the table. And he made a decision that nobody in that clubhouse was prepared for. We're not going to rush him back. That was the statement. 4 words that changed the entire mood of the room instantly. Because here's what everyone in that clubhouse understood in that moment, what every Dodger fan needs to understand right now. Roberts wasn't saying that because of weakness. He wasn't saying it because of fear. He was saying it because he had looked at Shohei Ohtani, a man who would absolutely play through pain, who would absolutely push himself back before he was fully ready, who would sacrifice his body for the team without thinking twice, and Roberts made the decision to protect him from himself. That is a manager making the hardest call in baseball. It's easy to play a healthy superstar. It's easy to write his name on the lineup card and let him do what he does. The hard decision, the decision that requires real courage, is saying, not yet. Not because you can't. Because we need you at full strength, and we're not going to compromise that for a few extra games in July. The room went quiet after Roberts said it. And then, and this is the part that matters, Ohtani nodded. Just once. Slowly. And that was it. No argument. No pushback. No attempt to prove he was ready. He trusted his manager. He trusted the organization. He accepted the decision. Here's what I want you to take away from everything that happened in that clubhouse. People talk about Shohei Ohtani like he's a phenomenon. Like he's something that exists outside the normal rules of baseball, a statistical anomaly, a marketing event, a once-in-a-generation talent. And all of that is true. But what that clubhouse showed us is that underneath all of it, there's something even more extraordinary. A human being who has earned the genuine love and respect of the people around him. Not through performance. Through character. His teammates didn't celebrate him because of his ERA or his MVP awards. They celebrated him because of who he is to them every single day. And Roberts didn't protect him because of his contract value. He protected him because he genuinely cares about the person. That's the part of Ohtani's story that doesn't show up in the box score. And right now, as the Dodgers head toward the second half of the season, as the pennant race heats up, as the Cy Young conversation gets louder, the most important thing that happened this week wasn't on the field. It was in the clubhouse. A party. A gift. A quiet expression. And a manager who slammed his hand on a desk and made the right call. Shohei Ohtani isn't just the best player in baseball right now. He might be the most important one.